I want to give a huge thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Therapy isn't something to run away from, it's a vessel to run towards. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online, so break out your comfies. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time. Anytime. And schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. No more fumbling to get a session on the calendar. You schedule based on when the time is right for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. Therapy changed my life for the better. Pun intended. And with BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Rocky. That's betterhelp.com/Rocky. Oh my God, everybody, do you hear that? Shh, it's getting closer. That is the sweet sounds of summer right around the corner. I know what you're thinking, but Rocky, it doesn't feel all that warm. But Rocky, I have no money to enjoy it. But Rocky, it was just summer minutes ago. How is it here again? Because you poor, sweet, naive angel on earth, that's life. And today is National Ferris Bueller Day. And as Ferris Bueller says, life moves pretty fast, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to give you some tips on how to make this summer the summer of your life, so that when fall rolls around, you'll be playing Wake Me Up When September Ends like it's the first fall of your senior year before college. You'll be longing for it. First things first. I know you've been hearing this, but I need you to feel this. The beach is getting whatever the fuck body you show up with. If you've been up in the gym just working on your fitness, excellent. We're horny for those pecs, so show them off. But if you haven't and you don't feel great about your bod, that's okay. Go treat yourself to some swimwear that makes you feel good. Instead of wearing something that hides your body parts, find something that shows off your favorite body part, your favorite color, and wear it every time you're next to a body of water if it makes you feel good. But don't feel less than if your body doesn't look like whatever preconceived notion of perfection you have in your brain, because that's brainwashing. And it's brainwashing to sell an image. They always want us to fix something, but the bottom line is, you're fine. And also, you're fine. And bodies are just our fun little Halloween costume if Halloween were year-round. Next thing you're going to want to do this summer is put it on the calendar. Yes, you want to leave room for spontaneity. Yes, you want to leave room for no plans, just vibes. But you got to make sure you got stuff to look forward to. Movie nights, concerts, baseball games, beach days, house parties, clubs, happy hours, dinners, or a goddamn paint and sip. Pick one and send the text and make the plan, because just like work begets work, plans beget plans. And it will give you a little hint of dopamine, and I know you like that sweet, sweet dopamine. Did you know the slang word dope derives from the word dopamine? Wow, this podcast is educational. Another way to have a grand old time this summer is to be a little selfish. Keep the promises that you make to yourself. If you have something you've been putting off that you know would be a weight lifted and only make your life more stress-free, then make it a priority right now. This is your reminder. Not nobody, not no thing, not no how is going to get you out of your own jams. Even if you have a little or a big support system, even while you're listening to this, there's something you could be doing that would open the door to more peace. So cross it off the list. And that way, you get to enjoy your summer. Take lots of pictures because you look good, and you're happy, and you're healthy, and you're thriving, baby. Now go have a wild summer. Woo!
Time for
Duh.
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello! Did you have a good week? I sure hope so. And if you didn't, I just sent you some good vibes, you little breakfast pastries. Now, don't spend them all in one place. Or do, because they're your good vibes to spend. I'm not the good vibes police. I'm the good vibes sugar daddy, and your glucose levels are through the roof when you're with me. I have some good vibes because I'm dating someone. That's right. I've asked myself out, and I've officially said yes. I have been walking around life as if I'm in a relationship with myself, and it fucking rules. Every time there's something I know I should be doing, but I don't feel like doing, I go, do it for Rocky. This would be such a nice thing to do for Rocky. And then it gets done, and then I am really happy. The cool thing for me about dating me is I'm always down for a good time and a bedtime. The breakfast, lunches, and dinners I'm pumping out are delicious. The conversation is unmatched. Sex, yeah, no complaints. So if I'm MIA, it's because I'm one of those girls who disappears into her relationship. I'm sorry. A little tip on the fastest way to spot a hater. Someone who asks you a question pertaining to your life and then walks the fuck away, or interrupts you to change the subject, or starts talking to someone else while you're talking to them. You see, friends, haters know not what they do, because all they do is hate. This is not your problem, though. You don't live in Oz, so you don't need to see green all day. You go forth and you live your extraordinary life full of wild and whimsy. And if someone exhibits that behavior, then, honey, to the left, to the left. You think Beyonce is out here associating with haters? You think Taylor Swift is at a party wondering why the person she's talking to is darting their eyes like a cat with a little red dot going all around the room? No, they're selling out arenas. And they're eating caviar. Fuck a hater. And whatever you do, make sure you don't fuck a hater. Moving on. I think this has happened to me once before, but it happened to me the other day again. Friday, I was at a happy hour, and they were playing a movie called Venom. Perhaps you've heard of it. And I see a man on the screen who was a panty-dropping, show-stopping movie star. So I say, guys, who is that? That's Tom Hardy. Okay, and I'm rock hardy right now. I have never seen his face, or at least I don't think. I feel like I would remember that face. The following was a real conversation. You've never seen Venom? Nope. Venom 2? That's a real stretch. Peaky Blinders? I thought it was Blinders. Mad Max? Hard pass. Inception? No exception. Dunkirk? God bless you. The Revenant? Wolves over bears? You've never seen The Dark Knight? Yeah. Who was he in The Dark Knight? Bane. You mean the one that was in a non-bat mask the entire movie? Touché. Maybe you listening don't know what Tom Hardy looks like, but I assure you, he is worth the Google. I did a good deed while I was traipsing around the Lower East Side this weekend. I went in a bathroom stall and there was no toilet paper. So I went in the only other stall, and voila, there were 3 rolls of toilet paper. And I could have shut the stall doors right there and went on with my life. But how could I do that knowing the next person would be absolutely blindsided by this travesty? So I took one of the rolls and I moved it over to the other stall. And not even 1 minute later, someone came in and peed. And life went on as it should. Why am I telling you this? Why is this important? It's important because in any moment, you can make someone else's journey better. You can make it better. You have the power to make it smoother. You're like a little powerful person who can contribute to make the earth flow smoothly. So do it. I've been hitting up a lot of karaoke lately, and if you really think about it, karaoke is just a huge underground platform for keeping songs alive. In the year 2000, songs like Breathe by Faith Hill, Bye Bye Bye, Waiting for Tonight, Jumpin', all the small things, Real Slim Shady, Oops, I Did It Again, Big Pimpin', the next episode. And the list goes on and on, all made the Billboard Top 100. Today, you may be surprised to know that Wheatus's Teenage Dirtbag didn't ever make the Billboard Top 100 that year. That's right, that song never broke the list. But here we are, 23 years later, and without fail, every time I go to karaoke, someone sings that song. Who knew Wheatus would be the ones hanging on and making it to the end? I did another float tank this weekend. For anyone who's unclear what that is, it's a sensory deprivation tank. Basically, you float in a large warm bath in a room, and it's dark or it could be a little bit lit. You either listen to nothing, meditation music, or a guided meditation for 1 hour, and you can learn a lot in that hour about your mind, and you can learn a lot about your soul. And one lesson I learned is you cannot, are you listening? You cannot give other people your light. Your light is precious. Your light is important. Your light is sacred to you. If you take a light bulb out of one room and put it in the other room, the room you took it out of will be unlit. What you can do is you can celebrate other people's light. You can be a good example of what light is. And you can hope that they are willing to evolve into their own light. And if everybody did that, we'd be living in a much cooler and wilder world. And as Robin Fenty said, shine bright like a diamond. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, sometimes when I'm going to be somewhere soon, I'll say, I'll be there ASAP me. Number 2, if you play foolish games, you have the misfortune of winning foolish prizes. Number 3, the lyrics to All Star by Smash Mouth could be slam poetry that's relevant in 2023. And number 4, if you don't think time heals all wounds, then I'll let you know that there is a very successful musical running right now called Titanic. Titanic is a parody of Titanic, so you'll get over whatever it is that's making you sad. You just have to do you, because 100 years from now, somebody could be playing you in the musical parody. My guest this week is comedian, actress, improviser, and friend, plus the Kolache Queen of Brooklyn, Sarah Morgan Ashey. Sarah is not only a fantastic improviser and improv teacher, she is an incredible actress. She's quick-witted, she's beautiful inside and out, and she is a self-made co-owner of King's Kolache. Also, she's a great friend of mine for well over a decade. Sarah's wild word was origins, so get your history caps on, baby. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me at Wild Nights with Rocky on TikTok and Instagram, at Wild Nights Pod on Twitter. If you want to watch extended interviews with all of my guests, please subscribe on YouTube. You can support the show for $2 or $5 a month by subscribing to my Patreon. A big thank you and a future thank you to everyone who's written and everyone who will write a review when this episode is over. It really does make a difference. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Sarah Morgan Ashey. Sarah, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Rocky, thanks. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I feel like you and I right now are just like two little schoolgirls giggling, which is often what happens when we're together.
That's so true. I also love our little headphones. This is so fun. I like that yours are rose gold.
Thank you so much. You know, everything in my life is pink, rose gold in that world, because I'm basically a human. I want to be a human Barbie. Always have been.
Oh, yes. Are you going to go see the movie?
Absolutely. I can't wait. You know, let me tell you this, Sarah. My senior year of college, my junior year of college, we all had to do these directing projects. And mine was called Barbie and Ken. They're like these 10-minute shorts, because there was a girl in my class. Shout out to Christy Murray. She looked like a human Barbie for real. So I had her and the guy playing Ken, his name was Drew. They like moved animatronically, and it was about Barbie having a baby. So I love Barbie.
Oh, that's really fun.
Yeah. Were you a Barbie girl growing up?
I was a Barbie girl. I never had like the dream house or anything like that, but I was really into them. Maybe like a little too long. Like, at some point in, I guess this was middle school going into early high school. My aunt gave me this computer game, this Barbie computer game.
Yeah.
And it was so fun. And so I would play it. And then I had a couple gal pals who also really liked it, but it was like our shame. Like, we're like, we might be too old for this.
Yeah.
And so, because it was like a computer game very much geared towards little kids, but you like put her makeup on and it was just Ken, they had a pool scene and Ken would like pop up out of the pool. Like he'd been under there a long time, but he had like a shark fin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, that's just Ken.
Ken's just being crazy. I had the Corvette, Barbie Corvette.
Oh, that was awesome.
The literal one and the doll one.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Rocky, we would have been best friends even as little kids.
Without a doubt.
Like, how cool is that? So you're cruising around in the Barbie Corvette. Barbie's got her own. You've got oh man, that's very cool.
I agree, Sarah. I think we would have, if we had been growing up together or like been in the same school when we were younger, because immediately when we met each other, we became friends. We've known each other a very long time, which is why it's so special to have you on this episode. But some people, even if you weren't a part of their origins story, you would still be friends with them. You know it.
Oh, you know it. Totally.
See, I did it there. So Sarah's wild word was origins. Sarah, anybody who knows you knows you're one of the best storytellers in the goddamn world. You're such a good storyteller that I will just say this anecdote before we get into Sarah's story. You're such a good storyteller that your improv team back in the day would get a suggestion and only you would be the monologuist that would tell. You'd be like, this word reminds me of, and then you would be the only one who would ever monologue for a whole entire, how many seasons was that team together?
Oh gosh, I think 2. I loved that team. Navy Blue Seals.
Navy Blue Seals, that's right. So you are just one of the most epic, delightful storytellers in the world. So please, Sarah, give us your Wild Night story.
Well, that makes me feel like $1 million. Thanks for saying that. You're so thoughtful to remember that. That's really
unforgettable.
Nice. Oh, well, thanks. Well, I origins, I kind of figured, I was like, I feel like as an adult, 20s and early 30s, there have been a lot of wild nights. Some of them are a little hazy on the details, a little fuzzy. So when I was thinking about, I was like, okay, what is my like wild night? I was like, oh, there's this, but it's kind of fuzzy in that. So I kind of decided to go back to the origins. And I think if I were to put a pin on it, I think this might be one of my origin stories. And it starts in an unusual place, in a paint your own pottery studio. Yes, that's where it begins. It was a paint your own pottery studio called Seize the Clay.
Love it.
Fun name.
So those always have puns, those pottery studios. Yeah. They're always punny.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy if this story like involved a ghost? It doesn't, but that's a spoiler. No ghosts in this.
No ghosts were harmed.
Yeah. No, but there is a lot of deception in this story.
Gotcha.
So anyway, this is how it started. So I was in high school and this was my really my second job, but my first like real job. I was working at this pottery studio, Seize the Clay. And I loved it. It was an awesome place to work. Ended up working there like kind of through college seasonally. And so this was actually, I said high school, but that's when I started working there. I guess this was around when I was 19.
Yeah, a little older.
19, maybe 20. No, I was 19 because I was still in college and I was working there seasonally. Anyway, so my boss, he was kind of a rascal. And there were these wine and cheese nights. No. I'm telling you, things are fuzzy. This was definitely high school because I hadn't gone to college yet. Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. We've got the timing right. It was high school, hadn't gone to college yet. Very sheltered, still playing the Barbie game. My boss is a little bit of a rascal. And he was like, Sarah, I'm putting you on Friday nights throughout the summer. And I was like, man, I don't want to work Friday nights throughout the whole summer. Are you serious? Yeah. I was like, all right, I need to save some money.
And probably that place probably closed at like 7 or something too, right? Or like 8.
Well,
Not
so
so much.
Friday nights was like that was the crazy night at the Pottery
Gotcha.
Studio. That we had these wine and cheese nights.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like 18. I'm going off to college. Yeah, that's
Gotcha.
right. And the deal was if you worked Friday night, which I was, you had to put out all this wine and all this cheese. And people would come in and they would paint and everything.
Yeah.
So I got to where I didn't really mind it because Adam, my boss, was like, Sarah, maybe you're right. I'm kind of stealing your summer from you.
Yeah.
If you want to have a little wine, go ahead. And I was super straight-laced in high school, didn't really drink, was, ran cross country, was like kind of like in the zone,
Mm-hmm.
playing Barbie, that kind of thing. So anyway, I was like, you know what? Time to unbutton the top button of my pants, take my shoes off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a little wine.
Yeah.
So this one particular Friday night, my boss was like, Sarah, this is a special wine and cheese for the first 2 hours, like 6 to 8. It's normal wine and cheese. But then we're closing the Pottery Studio down from like 8 until 10 for a private party. And I was like, oh, okay, sure, I got this. I can host a private party.
Yeah.
So things are going like normal. I'm drinking maybe a little bit more than I thought I would because I was like, the private party is gonna be easy, you know. So I've got the little like wine mustache, the one.
I know the one.
Oh yeah. And I start kicking people out because I'm like, the private party's about to start. And all of a sudden, like 8:00 rolls around. The bridal party. It was like a what's it called? Bachelorette, yeah, comes in to the party and they're like, yay, the bride's almost here, let's decorate real quick. And I was like, you got it. Like, I'm a little buzzed. I'm like, have some wine, eat some cheese, what can I do? And they were like, we need you to put newspapers over the window. And I'm 18. I wasn't really thinking. I was like, that's kind of weird decorating choices.
Okay.
But it's not my party. So, okay. So I start hanging there were these big windows in the front of the store. So I start hanging newspapers all over the front of the windows, totally covered.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not carding anyone because I'm a pushover. I'm also not 21. And in Tennessee, where I lived, it's pretty strict laws around drinking and stuff. So that's kind of like a no-no a little bit. But I wasn't about to card people when I'm not even 21, and that's not really my vibe. I'm not really a disciplinarian. So I was like, but everybody, like, people oddly weren't that much older than me, so we're all getting pretty drunk. I'm like feeling like I'm partying with these gals.
Yeah,
we're having a grand time.
Yeah.
It was so fun. And so we get like halfway through the party, and there's a knock at the door, and I'm like, oh crap, like that might be my boss, but whatever. He's like, put me on this night.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot. This whole time my boss had been like, Sarah, I need you to take a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
For like during this party because we want to use them. And I was like, okay. And he was like, don't forget. He was like really strict. He was like, you need to take lots of pictures. So I'm taking pictures. I'm posing people. So I was like, that's probably him. He's probably making sure that I'm taking photos or whatever. So I go to the door. Remember the wings. I'm clearly been drinking. I opened the door, like just a little. I like poked my head out and I was like, hey, we're closed for a party. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to say. And there's a cop because we're being loud. Like this is loud. It's like there are other businesses. There's houses across the street. I'm not as worried about them. They're far away. So anyway, but so there's a cop right there and I'm like, oh fuck, like I'm so oops,
I'm arrested.
I'm arrested. I'm like, it's this is little naive Sarah. So I was like, oh no. So that's what's going through my head, but I spin it as, officer, what seems to be the problem? And he's like, I'm here for the party. And I was like, oh no. I was like, he's gonna see if I'm carding everyone. This is a disaster. Well, maybe I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, problem solved. Go stash the wine. So I'm like, yeah, come in. So I let him come, and then I run over to our booze table, and I'm just like taking it, like shoving it like wherever I can find a spot.
Acting fast.
And acting fast. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize he had like a full on like 80s style boombox over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that. Anyway, I'm preoccupied. I'm like in like crisis mode.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden he starts, as you probably can expect, he starts blasting music and taking off his cop uniform. And I just wasn't thinking to myself, oh, this is a stripper. I was actually thinking, I'm like, wow, I'm really concerned for the status of our police force, I guess. Yeah. I'm like, what is happening? Yeah. And then it kind of hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, of course, like this is a bachelorette. He's a stripper. Yeah. So the stripper is like going to town, like stripping all around in the party. I'm like, oh, what do I do? Because I have a camera like around my neck. Like I'm like, well, I guess I need to start taking photos. So I'm taking photos of the stripper. And so this goes on for like, I would say 20 to 30 minutes. Like he has a routine. He's got a tight 25.
He came prepared.
Oh yeah, he really did. So he's got like a tight 25, 30. And I'm feeling pretty embarrassed because like I've never seen a guy in that state of undressed before.
This is your first Magic Mike experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And so let alone like I wasn't a drinker in high school. So this is like the first time all this is happening. It's pretty overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And so then he kind of like, finishes up his act. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't really know what to do. So I was like, hey, would you like some snacks? He's in his like banana boat. Mm-hmm. He's in like a little, I was like, do you want to eat something? Like we've got a full table of cheese. Yeah. And he was like, actually, yes. So we go over, I like take him over to the snacks. And he was like, hey, guess my age. And I was like, I don't know. I'm trying I'm not making eye contact. I'm like kind of looking around the room. So I was embarrassed. Yeah. And he was like, I'm 40 years old. Can you believe that? And honestly, no. Looking back on it, I was like, I'm coming up on 40 not too long from now. Right. And I'm like, damn, I should have he looked great. Yeah. Whatever he was doing, maybe it was his cardiovascular workout. Maybe it was but so yeah, he was 40 years old. And
do you remember what age you guessed he was?
I think I don't remember. I probably guessed a lot younger, probably in his like late 20s. Yeah. I would guess, or early 30s, but he in no way looked like he was 40. Mm-hmm. So anyway, he that was an eye-opening experience, and I've been thinking about it lately because I just had a birthday and was like, I'm getting close. Like I got a few years left before I'm hitting the big 40. I've got a lot of bucket list things I gotta accomplish. Yeah, fun and wild. Yeah, and this guy really seemed to have it figured out. So anyway, that's kind of so he left, and as it turns out, in a big twist of well, this isn't really a twist now. My boss had set the whole thing up. Like he knew way far in advance that this bachelorette party was happening. He knew there was a stripper coming. He knew he was like the mastermind. Yeah. And I think there was a lot of concern from my mom and some of my mom's friends about where I went to college because it's a big party school. And I think they were all worried that I would go a little wild, and they were right. Everybody's got to sow their oats. But I think this was my boss's way of being like, let her have a little bit of safe fun in the pottery studio. Yeah. That's like, what's the worst that could, happen? And that was my kind of crazy unexpected origin story, I think.
Wow, that's what started it all.
That's what started it all, baby.
Cut to Sarah at Chippendale, flying to Chippendales every weekend. I'm not gonna be in town this weekend. That was great, Sarah. What a surprising and fun story. I love when stuff is like a wild night that you don't expect happening, especially at work. You're like, I'm just working.
Well, I think that's one thing that I kind of like about it is, always being prepared for like unexpected fun. Like living kind of in a spirit of spontaneity and celebration is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Especially when I like wasn't too pumped about working those nights anyways. It was kind of fun. Now, truth be told, I have not had like that was, maybe the only male stripper I've encountered in maybe one other in my life. Very nice. But I think that I guess the big takeaway of it was, well, I don't know what the takeaway is.
The takeaway is just people are out here making their money, how they make their money. Like people look down on certain professions, or they think like, oh my God, they're a stripper X, Y, and Z. But it's actually like people at the top are making dirty money and they're just doing it in a suit. And people at the quote unquote bottom are making dirty money. It's like most money is dirty. Let's just be clear. Most money is dirty. So get it how you can get it and try not to hurt anyone. Like this male stripper wasn't hurting anyone. He was bringing joy. Is your job bringing people joy?
Yes. Like that's so like, that's exactly it. And things aren't always what they seem.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I was freaking out thinking that I was about to get in trouble for not carding everyone and being a little tipsy myself. But he was just like, I'm here to dance. I just want to dance.
Yeah. He just wants to dance. Of course. That's so much fun. I've never had a surprise strip incident happen where a male stripper showed up. I've actually I don't think I've ever seen a male dancer ever. I've been to strip clubs. Those are really fun.
I've heard they have nice buffets.
Oh, I haven't been in the daytime, only in the witching hours.
I've never been, but I'm deep in watching, as you know, I was talking to you about this the other night. I'm deep in The Sopranos.
Oh, do they go a lot?
Well, yeah. Spoiler in case this is a spoiler alert.
Sopranos spoiler alert, everyone.
Tony Soprano owns a strip club called, this is the greatest name of all time, Bada Bing.
Oh my God, that is a great name for a strip club.
Bada Bing. So yeah, I think that's the closest I've ever been to one, is just watching The Sopranos.
Yeah, they can be fun if you're with a good group of people. They can be really fun. Like, you want to be with good energy people. You don't want to be with people who are going to be like sitting there like jerking off under the table. We don't want that.
Sad.
That's sad. It's scary. But you want to be with people who are like ready to throw singles, drink, and like party. Then it's fun.
Yeah, that sounds great. Like, actually, I feel that way too about like some like big drag clubs. I had a friend who, because it can be like a celebration of femininity. Because I went to this really fun drag club. What was the name of it? I want to say it's called like Lips or something like that.
A couple months ago. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. I've only been one time, but I like left and I was like, I feel so celebrated as a lady right now by these queens. Like I feel like I could, let's paint our nails a new color. Let's drive around in a Barbie Corvette,
put a wig on and call it a day. Yeah.
So
Lips is great.
Yeah, Lips is really, I gotta go back there. I've only been that one time.
The only thing I don't like about Lips is and because the show is incredible, they have I think some of the best drag queens in New York City that's where you go. I feel like Lips is the top of the tops because they're just so professional. I hated how quick it was. It's like they pump out your dinner. You get a drink if you want a drink. And then they have these amazing queens do their routine. And then you're like, oh, it was an hour and a half, 2 hours. And now we're out of here. Like I could have been at Lips for 3.5 hours, like just partying, but really quick. That's the only thing I don't love.
Yeah. I feel like my time there was quick as well.
Yeah.
I feel like
they definitely churn them out.
Yeah, churn them and burn them kind of thing.
Churn them and burn them. Churn them and burn them.
Yeah,
but Lips is great.
Yeah, I want to go back there. I I feel like that's one of those places you can go like super late night style and you're almost
Yeah.
guaranteed to have a good time. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter like when you go, you're always gonna, you could go in the middle of the afternoon for
Yeah.
if they're open and have fun.
Well, that's the thing about New York too. There's so many great drag shows. I used to go to drag bingo
Oh
every weekend.
yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. There's just so many great drag shows, and I just feel like it's becoming such a thing where it's just here. It is so a part of our culture.
Yeah.
It should just be like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's a bar, it's still there in Ditmas Park, which if for everyone listening who doesn't know
Yeah.
Ditmas Park, it's truly a beautiful neighborhood of Brooklyn. There's like
Yeah.
full houses. It doesn't really seem like you're in such a big metropolitan hub, but you
Mhm.
are.
Mhm.
Anyway, there was this bar there called the Sycamore, and it was really cute. Like the front part of it was a flower shop, and in the back they had this. In the winter, they would put up a tent that looked like a log cabin,
Oh.
and it was very cozy. I don't know if they're still doing it because it was probably dangerous. They'd put like in heaters inside this
Oh,
tent.
yeah, yeah.
But it was really like kind of kitschy and cool. And Paul, my hub, and I
Oh, shout
would
out to
do
Paul.
shout out to Paul. We would do pop-ups for our bakery business out there, and they would do drag bingo.
Mhm.
So they would like have bingo going in a little tent, and then I guess it was kind of like drag bingo because then there would be a drag show happening in the bar. Um,
Oh.
so I guess not entirely drag bingo. There's
But
bingo and
the
drag
energy,
show.
yeah, the
Yeah.
energy is there. And speaking of your bakery, I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh,
We've got to talk about your bakery
oh,
because I
thanks.
have to say, the whole time I've known you, I've been able to watch King's Kolache grow from you and your husband Paul bringing in kolaches, which I'm going to have you explain what that is for anyone who may not know, because I didn't know what it was until I met you, until I knew that's what you did. So I've watched you guys just grow it from this small thing that's like a little dream where you were like, oh, we're cranking them out in our apartment. We're cranking them out in our apartment to now you have your own bakery. So first, Sarah, tell everyone what a kolache is.
Oh, Rocky, you're the freaking best.
You're the
Thanks.
freaking best.
It's it's like a kolache is this uh Eastern European dessert pastry, usually like around the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
that became oddly popularized in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
from Czech and German immigrants came down and settled in this region of Texas called the Czech Belt, and they got introduced to cowboys, this
Mm-hmm.
pastry. Cowboys were like, hey, whoop, there goes my mic.
Ooh, there it goes.
Cowboys were like, wow, this is delicious, let's put a pig in it, like
Mm-hmm.
let's make this sweet dessert
Yeah.
savory. And so yeah, and so now some people I think in Eastern Europe call it klobasnik technically, but in
Okay.
Texas it's all kolaches, the
Mm-hmm.
sweet ones and the savory ones. My husband was born in Houston. Paul was born in Houston, and that's like big kolache territory down there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had, to be truth be told, I grew up in Tennessee and we didn't really have kolaches
Yeah.
then. And my aunt, even though she was in Dallas, it growing up, it like hadn't really, that was sort of outside of the kolache region of Texas. I mean, Texas is
Gotcha.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And everything's bigger there, they say.
everything's bigger there, baby. So we started dating, and then I was like, oh, what is this amazing pastry?
Yeah.
And then I, obviously fell in love with Paul, but also fell in love with this pastry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah, and we started making them, first like for ourselves in our apartment, and then Paul was bartending at this bar called Backyard, and then we started baking them when they were closed there, and like doing them at food festivals and stuff.
Yeah.
And then this is actually a crazy, I don't know if you wanted the full like evolution, but
Please.
it's actually kind of wild. It's like, oh, it's wild. It's actually kind of crazy how this happened. Like we had gotten to a point where we were doing so many like pop-ups and food festivals and stuff that people would come up to us and be like, oh, this is good. Like, where can we see you? And we'd be like, okay, well, tomorrow we're in Queens, then we're, in Brooklyn, then we're in Manhattan.
I remember you guys bopping around.
Yeah, and we were literally carting our oven because we serve them warm, like to all these different things. And it was a little stressful, and also it was hard to maintain momentum. Like someone might see us in Manhattan, but then they're not going to see us again for like 2.5 weeks or something.
Yeah,
This where And meanwhile, it's not that I was unhappy in my day job, but it was, we were doing comedy together at night, working this day job, and then baking in the morning, and then nights I wasn't doing comedy. It was just like there was no time. So we kind of got to this point where it's like we either need to hang up the jersey on Kolaches or we need to level up. So one day on a lunch break, we went out. There's this little spot by the water that was near my work. We went out there and we're like, what are we going to do? And we literally were like, well, we're not ready to hang up the jersey yet. Yeah. So what that meant was I needed to leave my job. And so I was like, okay, we literally shook on it. We're like, okay, we're going to get a brick and mortar spot, because we had vowed, we were like, we don't want to have a brick and mortar. We want to be these rogue bunslingers, but it wasn't really the pop-up vibe had kind of shifted because of demand, really. And so we were like, okay, so now we have to find a brick and mortar. Rocky, like within an hour, literally within it. This like does not happen. I'm still with Paul. Long lunch break.
Yeah. Oops. Did you leave the job, Sarah, or did they tell you to scram? This girl takes 2-hour lunch breaks.
It's really long. We got a call. Paul got a call that was like, hey, you don't know me, but I'm trying to fill this building, and I think your business would be perfect. And that like doesn't happen. Like I don't think it happens anywhere, but especially in New York. That's like, and it just so happens the neighborhood was right around the corner from our most successful pop-up that we had been running for like 2 years. Yeah. So we already had a customer base there. So we went and checked it out. We were like, whoa, this would be perfect. And then we looked around some other places and we're like, no, that call. And it was literally like within an hour of shaking on it. Isn't that crazy?
No, it's not. It's incredible. And it's what happens when you took this huge risk. And people listening might be like, that's crazy. To me, and where I'm at right now, that is not crazy to me. You take the leap of saying, I am going into the unknown, right? The known is showing up at your job, carting your oven to all these different spots, struggling, like just being like, oh my God, we're hustling and hustling. That's the known. Even if you feel exhausted by it, it's comfortable, right? Yeah. Then you two look at each other. You have this incredible bond with each other. You're building this thing together. And then you say, we're going to jump. And then the universe is listening to stuff like that. And then the universe is like, okay, they're going to jump. We're going to catch them. And that's exactly what happened. So to me, it's not crazy. To me, it's what happens when you let yourself go. I heard this quote from our boy, Joe Dispenza, and he said, nothing has ever let me down. Something, I'm butchering the quote, but it's something along the lines of, nothing has ever let me down in the unknown. So just let yourself go to the unknown. And then, so you get this brick and mortar. This doesn't happen. It's incredible. It's the universe delivering to you guys. What happens after that?
Well, so we are building out the space and because it was just an empty room. And so we had to use like all of our personal savings and all of our savings from the business. And we did a tiny little Kickstarter for some, well, it was big to us, but like for some equipment and things like that. And, building something in New York takes a long time. Building something anywhere takes a long time, but there's just a lot of red tape here that we had to navigate.
And it's a different kind of build.
Yeah, exactly. And so then and thankfully our build out was pretty easy because we wanted everything to be like movable, so it could be replicable, that kind of thing. But then so we're already taking too long, and we get to a point where it's like, okay, we actually have to open our doors. It's like we can't wait any longer. It might not be perfect. Yeah. But we're already late. So we set a date. We're like, okay, great. We'll open in March. And then March of 2020. And then the pandemic hit. So we opened March 27th of 2020. But can't really complain, because even though that seems like truly terrible timing, and I'm not going to say that the pandemic was good, because we all know that was
I know what you mean.
Not good. But we stayed open the whole time, so like can't complain about that. And the way our space was set up, we had a sliding door so we could like serve through the window. And it was just Paul and me, so like we didn't, at least at the beginning.
Yeah, you didn't need to like quarantine. You guys you're each other's bubble.
Yeah, and so and I think the neighborhood, it's really kind of like a huge blessing that the neighborhood was like, who are these lunatics who
Are
are
having
opening?
a grand opening 2 weeks after what was that guy? Joe Exotic. What was that show?
Oh, Tiger King.
Yeah, the joke would have landed if I remembered the name, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You and Tiger King are on the same timeline.
Exactly. And so yeah, the neighborhood was just like, let's help out these people.
Yeah.
So we were really supportive, and there wasn't really room for small. I mean, listen, I say this all the time that I think small talk is wonderful. I'm a big advocate for it. We need it. Like everyone needs to have like little moments of small talk, but it's also really nice when there's like a lot of shit going on to just immediately like cut through the bullshit and have like real meaningful deep conversations with people. And we had that like on the regular with our customers, so we got to know the neighborhood, I think, in a slightly more intimate way. And because I think whenever you start anything, like you're saying, when you go into the unknown, you're like, okay, I'm trying something new. You're inevitably going to have those nights where you're like laying in bed and you're looking at the ceiling and you're like, what have I done?
Yep.
Or like, it's almost like that feeling of after like a crazy night when you're like waking up in the morning, you're like, am I
does everyone hate me? What did I do? Yeah,
you're just on like a, it's a tangential, or not tangential, feeling,
like kind of anxious almost.
Exactly, those kinds of feelings. So yeah, inevitably you're gonna have those kinds of nights. So but I think on the other side of those nights, you'll have mornings where it's like, oh wow, like it makes the connections all the sweeter when you've like had those moments of like really going through it, like thinking like what what direction, what path am I on. So I don't know. That's kind of the long kolache version.
What's your favorite flavor kolache?
Oh, well, let's see. It's like picking a favorite child, Rocky.
Yeah, I know. I guess that's true.
I guess of the savories, it's a toss-up. Probably just the classic smoked sausage, cheddar, and jalapeno.
Yeah, I love that. That's at Young Ethel's too, because Young Ethel's bar in Brooklyn also sells kolaches.
A shout out to Tim and Mary, two of our pals.
Yes. Shout out to Tim and Mary.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite savory. And then sweet, my favorite sweet one. This is like a little unconventional, I guess. It's not like a traditional kolache, but to me, I'm like, these flavors are like tried and true. I like just a good old banana and Nutella.
Oh, yum.
They're not as common in Texas, but they're delicious. So
now, can you tell everyone where King's Kolache is so they can come and pay you and Paul a visit?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's in Bushwick.
Yes.
Off the Jefferson L, 321 Star, corner Star in Cypress, really close to House of Yes. Shout out to House of Yes.
Shout out to everybody.
Shout out to everyone. There's a really cute wine store next door to us called Star Wines. So shout out to Star Wines. Since we're talking a lot about wine in this podcast. The wings.
And Sarah, will you tell everybody where they can follow you or take class with you? Sarah is an incredible improv teacher.
Rocky, you're the best. Well, I'm at Sarah Ashey on Instagram. Sarah has an H. Ashey doesn't have an L. I have to say that because it looks like Ashley.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm teaching a class tonight.
Amazing.
But when this comes out, it might be after that.
It'll be in the past for sure.
Yeah, it'll be in the past. But I teach classes at the People's Improv Theater primarily, and well, not primarily. That's where I teach.
Primarily and solely.
Yeah, primarily and solely for the People's Improv Theater is where I teach. So the classes are there. I'm excited because I'm teaching a couple little drop-in classes this month. I got one next week too. But I like those because like if you're thinking about improv, but it's like, oh, I don't know if I can drop the 400 or however much they are. I actually don't know how much they are now. $300 for this, stepping into the unknown of
8-week class. Yeah,
8-week class with no script. I like these drop-ins because you can just kind of dip a toe in and be like, is this fun? And it is fun. But there are a lot of great teachers there, and the classes are really fun. I like doing that. Like, everything improv related, I think, is such a fun way to have a night.
Improv is the best, and you will not get a different answer from me and Sarah on that one. There are so many ways to support Sarah. You can go to King's Kolache and buy some kolaches. You can take one of her improv classes, whether it's a drop-in or an 8-week. You can follow her on Instagram. And Sarah, I just love you so much.
I love you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your wild night, and you and I will talk soon, okay?
Oh, I love you.
Thank you for having me. Oh, my pleasure. Bye, Sarah.